Sahana vavato Sahano bhunakto Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Janmadhyasya yatonvayaditaratah chartheshvabhijñasvarat tene brahma hridaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsurayah tejo varimrudam yatha vinimayah yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi sachidanandarupaya tapatraya vinashaya Shri Krishnaya vayam numaha. Dvaipayano viraha katara ajuhava tam sarvabhuta hridayam munimanatosmi narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Yes. So, yesterday we had briefly seen the fundamental principles of Vedanta. So, this jīva is none other than Īshvara. The nature of Īshvara is consciousness. So each and every one of us, our true nature is Sat, Chit, Anand. Existence, consciousness, bliss. But then what happened? Instead of identifying with this consciousness, what is the mistake we have done? We have identified with the body, mind, intellect, which we are not. So because of this identification, what has happened? Now instead of experiencing the properties of consciousness, we are experiencing the properties of imperfect BMI. So what is the solution now? The solution is only one: detach. Now here detaching or disidentifying is not physical, it is psychological. The problem is a psychological problem. So therefore the solution is a psychological solution. Detaching from the body doesn't mean commit suicide. I want to get rid of this body, so let me die. Not that. So this identification is a mind-born identification, a thought-based identification, a psychological identification. So therefore the treatment should be given at the psychological level. Any identification is mind-based. So therefore the mind has to be educated. So this is the whole of spiritual sadhana. Shifting the attention from the BMI to the consciousness. Now what happens to a person who doesn't know himself? So yesterday we were discussing about an ajnani jīva. For a jnani jīva, he experiences infinite bliss in himself. For him, creation is not necessary. In fact, creation is not there for him. The mind will not go out. There is nothing to seek. But now we are discussing about an ajnani jīva. Who is an ajnani jīva? In spirituality, whenever we say ajnanam, ignorance, it is not the ignorance about the world, it is ignorance about the self, oneself. So here ajnanam means ignorance about myself. So what are the consequences of this ignorance? So first it starts avidya. So always everything starts with avidya. Whenever you say the bhashyam of Shankaracharya commentary, he will start with avidya. So what is avidya? Ignorance about oneself. So what is the problem about ignorance about oneself? There is a big problem because when you don't know yourself, it means you are not happy with yourself. Why are you not happy with yourself? Because you are not seeing the Ananda Swarupa, which is your nature. You are seeing something else in yourself. And what is it that you are seeing in yourself? You are seeing the egoistic individuality in yourself. And what is this egoistic individuality? It is nothing but consciousness identified with BMI. So now, the imperfect BMI is what you experience when you look into yourself. So you are not happy with yourself. You find limitations in yourself. Now you are trying to fill that hollowness by seeking the world outside. You are seeking happiness outside. So from this avidya comes kama. Kama means desire. Basically, this is the desire for happiness. But this individual, he thinks, by gaining the objects of the world, I will be happy. The seeking is happiness alone. The desire is for happiness alone. But according to his immature knowledge, now what is his immature knowledge now? The world is going to give me happiness. That is also a knowledge. And he has come to this knowledge by his own experience. It is not that accidentally he stumbled across this knowledge. No. He finds that whenever he is indulging in pleasures, he is happy. Whenever he is getting the desired objects, he is happy. Whenever his desires are fulfilled, he is happy. So therefore, desired objects are outside. When I get the desired object, I am happy. So therefore, happiness is outside. Now he has kept this, what you call happiness, projected the happiness outside. Now from avidya comes kama, desire. And this desire will force him to work for the objects of desire. So from this avidya comes kama, from kama comes karma, actions. Action for what? Actions in order to obtain the desirable objects. Avidya, kama, karma. So this is what is happening in the case of an ajnani jīva. He is working hard to get the object so that he will be happy. So yesterday we had seen how this karma becomes karma phala. Every action will have to produce the results under the influence of kala and swabhava. In time, the action produces results. According to the laws of universe, actions produce results. So under the influence of kala and swabhava, karma takes the form of karma phala and presents itself in the form of dravya, matter. The material is created in front. These are all because of karma. So what are the process? So yesterday we were seeing, so first this person has some knowledge. It can be wrong knowledge or right knowledge, whatever. Based on the knowledge, he desires. Based on this desire, he performs actions. And based on these actions, he experiences the result, and based on the experience can be good or bad, joy or sorrow. Based on this experience, he either reinforces the knowledge or changes the knowledge. So in the beginning, for an immature sadhaka, you can't call him sadhaka, he's a jīva. Immature jīva. Who is an immature jīva? Whose thinking is not deep, who is not very sensitive, who is dull. Tamasic or rajasic jivas, we can say. So what does he find? His knowledge is this. What is his knowledge? World is the source of happiness. So what will he desire? He will desire the world. What will he work for? He will work for the world. What will he experience? He will experience worldly objects. What will be the result? The result will not be pain in the beginning. The result will be joy in the beginning. Because the worldly pleasures are such, it is agre amrutopamam pariname visham. Now this immature seeker is not saying pariname visham. What is he saying? Agre amrutam. So therefore he tells his intellect, this is the way to gain happiness. And now he has not developed enough maturity to penetrate deep into the experience and see the pain. He has no such, what we call, sensitivity, maturity. He is seeing only the immediate joy, immediate pleasure, and this immediate pleasure, with this immediate pleasure, what is the conclusion he derives? The conclusion is, definitely worldly object alone is happiness. He is going through pain. It is not that he is not going through pain, but he is not realizing that he is going through pain. Again he reinforces the knowledge that world alone is the source of happiness. Again desires it. Again works for it. Vasanas become more and more strong in the process because he is doing it with kartrutva bhavana. Again he gets the experience. Again with the experience, agre amrutam pariname visham. He sees only the amrutam part. He is actually drinking visham. He doesn't know it. 1 minute of joy, 20 minutes of suffering. But he is seeing only 1 minute of joy. Again he tells, this alone is the source. In this way, thousands and thousands of births he lives. His attention is only upon that flicker of happiness. He is miserable. Very many times intensely he is miserable, but because his attention is only upon that flicker of happiness, that little bit of happiness, he thinks that this world alone is joy. But a time comes, the suffering becomes so intense. Now in the suffering, what happens to is you become more and more sensitive. In suffering, you can never be in tamas. You will have to be in sattva only. Suffering is such that when you suffer, you can never remain in tamas or rajas. You will be at the height of your alertness. And this is how Mother Nature takes this ajnani jīva and makes him a jnani jīva. Now and then through suffering, it makes him slowly more and more alert. More and more alert means more and more sensitive. More and more sensitive means a time comes when he is not seeing the joy part of the pleasures, he is seeing the pain part of the pleasures. Every indulgence in sense pleasures, in the beginning it is joy, no doubt, but after that it is a prolonged suffering, prolonged pain. Now a maturity comes in him where he sees that for little bit of joy, why should I suffer so much? Now what happens? Because of this sensitivity, he becomes more mature. Now he is seeing the pain more than the pleasure. And once he starts seeing the pain, now slowly he corrects his knowledge. What was the earlier knowledge? Worldly objects are happiness. Now his knowledge is worldly object is not happiness. It gives happiness only for some time, but there is so much of suffering. Slowly the knowledge is corrected. Knowledge is corrected. So when the knowledge is corrected, the desires also change according to the knowledge. Now he is no more desiring the worldly pleasures, worldly joys, because he sees their suffering. Now this, this feeling in oneself is called vairagya or dispassion. So what is dispassion? It is not a hatred. Dispassion is merely a thorough understanding of the workings of the world, of the nature of the world, because of which one is not attracted towards the pleasures of the world. It is a state of matured understanding about the world and its ways. So naturally now I want happiness. The world is no more able to give happiness. What happens to such a jiva? Bhagavan himself takes him to the next stage. Through satsanga, he is introduced to the higher joys of the world. The higher joys, the joys of selfless service, that is higher joy. It has no defects. Unlike the worldly pleasures, this selfless service has no defects. The more you serve, the more you are happy. The joys of meditation, the more you meditate, the more you are happy. The joy of devotion, the more devotion, the greater the happiness. There is no side effect there. So when he is introduced to the higher joys of the world, and when he experiences this joy, what happens to him? Again and again his knowledge is reinforced. Yes, this is the way to happiness. Every time he attends satsanga, after coming out of satsanga, he feels very nice. He feels that the mind is purified, the mind is light, the mind is refreshed. Every time he experiences this joy, every time he reinforces the knowledge that this is the right way of gaining knowledge. This is the right way of gaining peace, happiness. And a time comes when, through the right knowledge, gained through the Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana of the scriptures, he comes to know that the true happiness is my own self. I need not have to gain it from the outer world. So when he experiences that happiness in himself, now what does he understand? What is his understanding now after gaining knowledge? I am Satchit Ananda Swarupa. Ananda is my nature. So that which is my nature, why should I seek it outside? A fire need not seek heat from outside. It is its own nature. A sugar need not desire sweetness from outside. It is its own nature. In the same way, Ananda is my nature. I need not desire it. It is me, myself. After that, there is no desiring. And since there is no desiring, there is no creating. And since there is no creating, there is no creation. And since there is no creation, there is no world. And since there is no world, only you are there. Right? This is the step-by-step evolution of a seeker. Everybody is a seeker only. Everybody is a seeker. What is he seeking? He is seeking happiness. He is seeking security. He is seeking peace. But only spiritual seekers, we would say true seekers, because they have ultimately found the path. Now in this birth or next birth, they are definitely going to reach. But for others, we don't say seekers because we don't know how many thousands or millions of births are still remaining. Because still they have not come to a, conclusion that this is the path to get happiness. But once you are a spiritual seeker, once you have at least, come to this firm conclusion that yes, this is the way, then such a person is called a spiritual seeker. Because very soon he is going to reach the goal. Right. Now so this is a process from ignorance to knowledge. Asatoma sadgamaya, from asat to sat. Tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. So this is a journey from darkness to knowledge, from darkness to light, from ignorance to knowledge, from mortality to immortality. Now this process is a long process. So therefore, the whole creation is designed in such a way so that the jīva can be taken step by step to the highest level. The whole creation is designed in such a way so that the jīva knows himself to be Īshvara. So what are the powers involved in this world? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. What is this sattvic power? It is a power to desire, power to know. Rajasic power is the power to do, and tamasic power is the power to rest. You rest, refresh, again continue the journey. So these three powers slowly guide the jīva to the ultimate level. So what is the basis of creation? The basis of creation is ignorance. Basis of creation is vasanas. Basis of creation is prārabdha karmas. So from there we have to start. Now in this world there is Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. Again Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. This goes on and on and on. How many times it has happened? It has happened infinite number of times. Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. This has happened infinite number of times. So now we are going to discuss one stage, one cycle. So first we will start from Laya. Laya to Srishti. So what is the state of Laya? Laya is a state where all beings are at rest. All beings are in their latent form. All beings are in their unmanifest form. All beings are in their seed form, in their karana form, in their causal form. That is the state of Laya. Right? Bija form. Bija means seed. In seed, nothing is manifest. Everything is there, but it is latent. A seed is the right example. Everything is there, but it is latent. It is not manifest. That is the state of Laya. So what is the condition of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas there? All of them, they say, they are in equilibrium. They are in Sama. Samatvam is there. So now how does from Laya Srishti happen? So what is said here is, there is a kshobha. There is an agitation. Under the influence of Kala and Swabhava. So all the beings are waiting. They are in their unmanifest form, but there are vasanas to be expressed. There are prārabdha karmas to be exhausted. There are desires to be fulfilled. So therefore, that Laya state cannot be permanent. So this urge in the beings to express their vasanas, this helpless condition in the beings to go through their prārabdha karmas, this urge creates the disturbance. So when the right time comes, under the influence of Kala, under the influence of Swabhava, according to the laws of the universe, what happens? There is a kshobha. Meaning, these beings are ready to express their vasanas. They have become ready. Rest is over. Now all the beings in this cosmos, they are ready to take a new manifestation, to take a new form, so that their prārabdha karmas can be exhausted, their vasanas can be expressed. So this is called a kshobha. Now how does the Srishti begin? Now here 3 stages are given. The first is avyakta prakriti. Avyakta means unmanifest. Prakriti, matter. Avyakta prakriti. And when the kshobha happens in avyakta prakriti, the first step of creation begins, this avyakta prakriti becomes, or rather takes the form of mahat-tattva. Now these are all technical terms. Avyakta prakriti becomes mahat-tattva under the influence of kala and swabhava. This has to be always added. Under the influence of kala, swabhava. Kala, swabhava. Kala, karma, swabhava. All the three. Under the influence of kala, karma, swabhava, this avyakta prakriti becomes mahat-tattva. What is mahat-tattva? The only thing we can say is, it is a little more evolved state of avyakta prakriti. That's all we can say. Just like the seed becoming a sprout. Evolution is happening. Under the influence of kala, karma, swabhava, just like the seed becomes a sprout, in the same way, this avyakta prakriti becomes mahat-tattva. And again, under the influence of kala, karma, swabhava, this mahat-tattva becomes ahamkāra. Now please understand, this ahamkāra is different from the normal meaning of ahamkāra. This is a technical term, bas. At the most you can say cosmic ego. But don't equate that ahamkāra with our ahamkāra. It's a technical term, it has a different meaning. So what are the stages? Avyakta prakriti becomes mahat-tattva. Mahat-tattva becomes ahamkāra. Now since they are all prakriti only, all of them will have three gunas. What are the three gunas? Sattva, rajas and tamas. Children will always have the properties of parents. So stage by stage, they are nothing like children being born. From avyakta prakriti, mahat-tattva. So mahat-tattva, prakriti has got three gunas, so mahat-tattva also will have three gunas. From mahat-tattva comes ahamkāra. So ahamkāra will also have three gunas. Now, so this ahamkāra will have tamasa ahamkāra, rajasik ahamkāra and satvik ahamkāra. Now see how the creation happens. From the tamasic ahamkāra comes all the five elements. So how is that evolution? First comes akasha. From the tamasa ahamkāra, first comes akasha. Akasha can be known only through ears. Only one property, shabda. From akasha comes vayu. So vayu will have shabda, sparsha. Of course, three gunas are always there. Akasha will have shabda, vayu will have shabda, sparsha. From vayu comes agni. It will have the property shabda, sparsha, rupa. From agni comes jala. So one more quality is added. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa. Jala you can taste also. Fire you can't taste. Space you can't taste. Air you can't taste. Taste is only for water. So each element comes with its own property, also borrowing the properties of others. From jala comes prithvi. So prithvi will have the properties of all the four and its own property. So shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, they are borrowed property. Gandha is its own property. So prithvi will have all the five properties. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. So from where does these elements come from? It comes from tamasic ahamkāra. Right? So the field of experience has come into existence. Kshetra, field of experience. All 14 worlds have come from tamasika ahamkāra. Now field is a re. Now mere field will not do. There should be instruments to experience. Right? From the tamasika ahamkāra what comes? Adhibhūta comes. From tamasika ahamkāra comes adhibhūta. The field of experience. the objects to be experienced. Now we should have instruments to experience. That comes from the Rajasika ahamkāra. So what comes? 10 indriyas come. Prana comes. Buddhi comes. Now we are following the Bhagavata, right? So these are the indriyas with which you interact with the field of experience. They are called the instruments of experience. Mere object of experience will not do. You must have an instrument in order to experience the objects. These instruments are, what are the instruments? 5 jnanendriyas and 5 karmendriyas. Now since it is pertaining to the individual, it is called adhi-ātma. Atma means the self, the individual. So from Rajasic ahamkāra comes adhi-ātma or adhi-ātma. From the Tamasic ahamkāra comes adhibhūta. Right? So what all have come? The field to experience has come. The instruments to experience has come. Now what is left? Now there should be somebody who should give power to the instruments to function. Without power, the instruments cannot function. So this comes from the Sattvika ahamkāra, which is called as adhi-daiva. So from Sattvika ahamkāra comes all the presiding deities, devatas. So what is the function of a devata? Function of a devata is which jiva has done what karma, accordingly give the power to the indriya. First of all, whether the fellow needs the indriya or not, should be given or not. If at all it has to be given, how much power should be given to that indriya for that particular jiva? This is the job of that devata. For example, the devata for eyes, it is Surya devata. So eyes can function only when the eyes are able to see. That ability to see is given by Surya devata. How much should a person should see is determined by that devata, because that devata has the knowledge what karma this jiva has done. Are you getting it? So different jivas will be given different powers to their indriyas based on the karma they have done in the past. This, this file is kept by devata. So devata is a knowing principle, so therefore it has to come from the Sattvika ahamkāra. Sattva is always knowledge. Rajas is always action. Tamas is always inactivity. So Sattva is the knowing principle. All the presiding deities have come from the Sattvika ahamkāra. Their job is to give that particular indriya to that particular jiva who has given a particular karma. How much power to be given, how long that power should be given to that jiva. So each and every one of us, our powers of the indriyas are different. Some can see better, some cannot see. Some cannot see even at the birth itself. Why is it so? That power is not there, indriya is not there. Golaka may be there. Remember, indriya is different from golaka. Golaka means physical fleshy eye. Indriya means the power to see. Both are different. A person may have golaka, but he may not have indriya. Another person may have indriya, but he may not have golaka. Both are necessary. Fleshy equipment is also necessary. The power to see also is necessary. Right? In a dead body, golaka is there, indriya is not there. So all these details are kept in track by the devata. Now each devata has a particular department. For example, Surya devata, his job is seeing. So not only human beings, all the insects, birds, animals, whoever has been given this ability to see, the whole department is taken care by this particular devata. That is, he is the departmental head who gives the power. And the power is given according to the past karmas. under the influence of karma, kala, swabhava. So is it clear? So from the tamasika ahamkāra comes the field to experience. From the rajasika ahamkāra comes the organs, the dasha indriyas, the prana, etc. From the rajasika ahamkāra comes the equipments to experience. And from the sattvika ahamkāra comes the power through which these equipments can function in the field of experience. So one is called adhi-daiva. Anything related to adhi-daiva is called adhi-daivika. From the rajas, it is adhi-ātma, pertaining to atma. So anything related to it is called adhyatmika. Anything related to sattva is adhi-daivika. Related to the individual, adhyatmika. Related to the world, adhibhūtika. So is it clear? So this is how the creation happens. So first is avyakta prakriti. Everything is in latent form, nothing can be explained about it. Under the influence of kala, karma, swabhava, avyakta prakriti takes the form of mahat-tattva. Again, under the influence of kala, karma, swabhava, this mahat-tattva takes the shape of ahamkāra. This ahamkāra has got three, and this sattva, rajas, tamas of ahamkāra constitute the entire thing in this world. The microcosm and the macrocosm. This is how the creation comes. Now what is said here is, once this Brahmanda is formed with all the jivas, this shell, Brahma anda means egg, this cosmic egg cracks and breaks. That is what is said here. Now what does it mean, this egg breaking? Now, don't imagine some egg breaking. Egg breaking means this cosmos becomes functional. The breaking of the egg means it becomes functional. For example, when the highway is made, so how does it? So first day is the inaugural day, isn't it? Ministers are called, some ribbon is tied and the minister has to cut. The road is ready, but it becomes functional only when the inauguration happens. There is housewarming ceremony. What is housewarming ceremony? House is ready, but they start occupying it only after that function. In the same way, cosmos becomes ready, and under the influence of kala, karma, swabhava, this cosmos, it says cracks. Crack means it becomes functional. Just like when the egg cracks, what happens to that baby inside? Chick. It becomes alive as though. Just like the child which is coming out of the womb. What happens to child? It becomes functional. All the pranas becomes active. Till then the child was not functional inside the womb. The moment it comes out, it gives a cry, isn't it? When it cries, it means pranas have taken the charge of handling the body. In the same way, the cosmos cracks. Brahmanda cracks, and from that comes Virāta-purusha. Now, who is this Virāta-purusha? The total body, mind, intellect. Virāta-purusha. The one who is identified with the total cosmos is called Virāta-purusha. You may call it Īshvara also. They are all one and the same. Bhagavan. So who is this Bhagavan? None other than the self of each and every being. But now he is identified with the totality, so therefore he is called Virat. Just like we have identified with this body, and everything in this body we are aware of, we feel ourselves throughout this body. In the same way that Virāta-purusha is present everywhere in this body. Okay. So this is how the creation is defined in Bhagavatam. If you want more information, refer Tattva Bodha. In Tattva Bodha, briefly things are given by Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya. Slight difference is there, but that is okay. Knowing, it's a very subtle process. Desiring, little more gross. Doing, grossest. Isn't it? From the thoughts to action. It is from the subtle to the gross. So in creation, everything is from the subtle to the gross. In creation, everything is from the subtle to the gross. Subtlest one is avyakta, Prakriti. Grossest one is what we see around. From the bija to the tree. So from the subtle to the gross. One small seed becomes a huge tree. The movement is always from the subtle to the gross. So this is how Srishti. Now this Srishti keeps on going. There is Srishti, Sthiti and Laya. Again Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. This goes on and on and on. So after having said this much, now let us move forward. So what is the purpose, by the way? What is the purpose of Srishti? The purpose of Srishti is only help jīva know itself. The purpose of Srishti is only one, help jīva know itself to be Īshvara. So that is why all these vakyas are called mahavakya. Aham brahmasmi. Mahavakya means what? This is the final vakya, the ultimate vakya, which will put an end to your projection of samsara. For him there is no more samsara. So therefore it is maha, ultimate, the greatest. The end of journey. That is it. So as long as this jiva has not understood himself to be Īshvara, this creation goes on and on and on. On and on. There is no end. Right? So now, after having said this much, now Brahmājī says, Nārayane bhagavati tadidam vishvamahitam grihitamayorugunaha sargadavagunasvatah. The whole world is existing where? It is said in Narayana. Bhagavan is the resting place, he is the substratum, he is the support for the whole world, though he himself is beyond gunas. These three gunas help the jiva go beyond the guna. The best example given is the pole vault example. So in pole vault, what does the vaulter do? Pole vaulter. So he runs fast, gains the momentum, places the pole, and because of his momentum, what happens? The pole straightens up. As the pole straightens up, what does he do? He starts climbing the pole. And by the time the pole has come perpendicular to the ground, he has reached the peak, and then he drops the pole, goes beyond. Life is also like this. What is this pole? This pole is nothing but the mind. So what is this climbing the pole? Climbing the pole means from tamas to rajas, rajas to sattva. Reaching the peak of the pole means maximum sattva. After that, drop the mind. How do you drop the mind? By witnessing the mind. And what's your experience? Manasam tu kim margane krite naiva manasam marga arjava. There is no mind only. When you start witnessing the mind, mind disappears. When mind disappears, world disappears. Everything is gone. But that cannot be done in the beginning. That can be done only in the end. Only after purification of the mind. Then what does this person do? Drops the pole, goes to the other side. This is called liberation. Dropping the pole means dropping the mind, silencing the mind, and for him there is no more world. But samadhi. Samadhi means what? Samyak dhi. Dhi means buddhi, mind. Becomes sama. Sama means absolutely quiet. So actually samadhi is our nature. Today samadhi appears to be an unusual experience. It is not an unusual experience. It is your nature. Just like silence is the nature. For noise you have to put forth effort. For creating silence you don't have to put forth any effort. Silence is already there. So all the jivas are nothing but noise. Jiva is nothing but noise, thinking that he is so and so, man, woman, this, that, etc. Even when you are having all these foolish ideas, even now you are that silence alone, Satchidananda alone. So Jiva merging into Paramatma is nothing but he becomes silent. Noise ends, there is only silence. There is only fullness. There is only perfection. There is only peace. There is only contentment. This is our nature. That is why we love all this. So this is the journey. From noise to silence. From imperfection to perfection. So what is being said? The whole world exists in Narayana. Srijami tanniyuktoham haro harati tadvachah Vishvam Purusha Rupena Paripatri Shakti Dhruk. So the whole thing is happening by the power of three. What are the power? Srishti, sthiti, laya. Power of sattva, rajas, tamas. So here Brahmājī says, by his command I create. By his command Vishnu sustains. By his command Shiva destroys. We are all helpless jivas. All our powers actually belong to him alone. We don't have any power by ourselves. So Narada, I have given the answers. Now he makes a very nice statement, Brahmājī. What does he say? Na bharati menga mrishopalakshate na vaikvachinme manaso mrishagatihi na me hrishikani patantya satpathe Yanme hridaut kantyavata dhruto harihi. Beautiful statement. What does Brahmājī say? Because I hold on to this Bhagavan in my heart, dhruta harihi. Because there is an intense longing in my heart to remain a beloved of the Lord. I always try to please the Lord alone. And therefore I always listen to what he says. This is the intense. Utkantha is the term used. Utkantha means what? Anxiety. So Brahmājī says, I am always anxious for one thing. What is that? Bhagavan should be pleased with me. And this I ensure. Every step I ensure this. Is Bhagavan happy with me? That is the one thing which I always ask myself. Not whether I am successful or unsuccessful. No. Whether I have gained or lost. No. Only one question I ask myself. Is Bhagavan happy with me? So there is an utkantha. There is an intense longing to please my Creator. Because of which, now since I am always trying to do that, therefore, na bharati me anga mrisha upalabhyate. Therefore, my speech can never be untrue. With confidence he says, because I am in tune with the Lord, my words can never go wrong, can never become untrue. Navai kvachin me manaso mrishagatihi. My mind can never take a wrong turn. I can guarantee because my mind is tuned to the Lord. Name hrishikani patanti asatpathe. My indriyas can never go into evil ways. How can you be so sure? I can be so sure because I am always in tune with the Lord. I always try to be in tune with the Lord. And that Bhagavan is the embodiment of dharma. When we also remain in tune with the embodiment of dharma, how can our, speech, thoughts, actions can be adharmic? It is impossible. So this is a lesson for all of us. So whatever Brahmājī is doing at that level, there are a lot of lessons to learn from us. The purpose of describing all this is, he is also a jiva. Look at the way he is living. The same way we should also live. So Brahmājī is saying, I don't create. I have been given the ability to create, but these abilities don't belong to me. Same thing applies with us also. Abilities have been given, they don't belong to us. A great singer, that singer doesn't know how the vocal cord is functioning. A great philosopher, that philosopher doesn't know how the brain is functioning. A great tennis player, the tennis player doesn't know how is he holding the racket. The ability has been given, but how is he doing it? He doesn't know. In the same way, Brahmājī says, I have been given the ability to create, but that ability is not mine, it belongs to him. Right? So whatever he says, it is applicable to us. And we will find that whenever we are in tune with the Lord, whatever decisions we take will be perfect, will be dharmic. But whenever we are not in tune with the Lord, whenever we take action based on selfish desires, remember, whenever we are selfish, we are not in tune with God. And whenever we are not in tune with God, whatever we do, later on you will definitely repent. Whatever you say, whatever you think, whatever you do, will be adharmic, for which you have to pay the price. Beautiful. So what does Brahmājī say? I have sacrificed myself unto him. Now this is called yajna. Yajna means sacrifice. I don't do what I like, I do what he likes. My actions are not vāsanā anusari, my actions are shastra anusari, bhagavat anusari. They are all one and the same. Dharma, Bhagavan, Shastra, they are all one. I don't act based on my likes and dislikes. I act based on his pleasure. So this is the way we have to live. Now Brahmājī is answering the next question of Nāradajī. Nāradajī had asked, what is your nature if you are the ultimate? What is his nature if he is the ultimate? Whatever. What is the nature of Bhagavan? How will you describe Bhagavan? Now here is a verse. Soham samamnayamayastapomaya prajapatinam abhivanditah patih asthaya yogam nipunam samahitah tam nadhyagacham yata atmasambhavah. Well, you are asking the nature of Bhagavan. Now look at me, who I am. Now Brahmājī is introducing himself. Saha aham samamnayamayah. Samamna means Vedas. I am the very embodiment of Vedic learning. Tapomayah. I am number one among tapasvis. What is his tapas? We will see later. 100 divine years he does tapas. That is too much. Which is 360,000 human years. I am the very embodiment of tapas. I am the very embodiment of learning. Prajapatinam abhivanditah. I am the venerated master of all the Prajapatis, the presiding deities. Asthaya yogam nipunam samahitah. I have attained tremendous concentration of mind because of my practice of yoga. But even I, tam na adhigacham, even I don't know who is he. Then what to talk of others? That is the point. What to talk of others? I myself don't know who is he. What to talk of others? Now what is the meaning? The meaning is this. As long as you are a jīva, your body, mind, intellect, even if you are a Brahmājī, it is limited. So when do you experience this ultimate state of samadhi? When you experience the ego is not there, the ego dissolves. Now see this, it's very interesting. When you are there, experience is not there, so therefore you can't describe. When you merge into samadhi, you are not there, therefore who will describe? It is exactly like sleep. What is the nature of sleep? Nobody can describe. Why? When you are not asleep, when you are not asleep, you are there, but sleep experience is not there, so you can't describe. When you have gone to sleep, you are experiencing it, but you are no more there to describe it. So Brahmājī says, even I cannot describe who is he. The moment I becomes one with him, I am no more. So how can I describe him? Right? Now here he says, Natosmyaham taccharanam samiyusham bhavachidam swastyayanam sumangalam yo hyatma maya vibhavam sma paryagat yatha nabhaswantamatha pare kutah. I am only bothered about one thing. And what is that thing? When I merge in Him, there is infinite bliss. Bhagavan is the embodiment of auspiciousness. He is an abode of peace. This I experience when I totally surrender unto Him. I need not bother what He is. The only thing is, I experience infinite happiness. And this is exactly what Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, in his own ways, he says this. Nobody can describe the ultimate. So the example given is, so there is a huge wall. There's a huge wall. Everybody is lying on the floor and they are seeing what is there on the other side of the wall. Everybody is anxious. So one person climbs, very difficult, climbs. And ultimately he reaches the top of the wall. And when he sees the other side, he exclaims, wow! And he falls the other side. Now who is there to explain what is there on the other side? Another person climbs. Now here people are waiting just to see hear the description of what is there on the other side. So again another person climbs. He reaches the top. He also exclaims and then he also falls the other side. This is a beautiful analogy given by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So that's the same thing Brahmājī says here. Even I cannot describe what is He. Again he says, why should I describe? Why should I know? Nobody can know His limits. Just like space doesn't know its limits, because it is limitless. In the same way, here Brahmājī says, even Bhagavan doesn't know His limits. Bhagavan Himself doesn't know the limits. And you need not know also. As Ramakrishna says, suppose there is a huge pile of sugar. An ant comes there. Now why should the ant be bothered about the huge pile? Take one crystal and that is enough. So in the same way, jivas can experience only that. Just like electricity. Electricity has got infinite power, but there is no equipment which can be ever invented, which can handle the entire power, isn't it? So this way, Brahmājī glorifies that Bhagavan. And then what does he say? Nāham nayoyam yadrutam gatim viduh navamadevah kimuta pare surah tanmayaya mohita buddhyastvidam vinirmitam chatma samam vichakshmahe. Na aham, even I don't know. Na yuyam, you people, Sanakadi Rishis, Narada, etc. Even you. Na Vamadevaha, even Shiva doesn't know his glory, his real nature. What to talk of others? Whatever we see in this world, we see it our intellect, and every intellect is deluded by his Maya. Maybe little deluded, more deluded, but delusion is common. Nobody can ever describe his greatness, his glory, etc. It is said here, Atma, Atmani, Atmana, Atmanam, Sanyachati, Srijati, Pati. Everything is done by him, in him, from him. He creates things by himself, in himself. Everything all alone. What is that? Nobody can understand. So Brahmājī, does it mean that we can never experience that Supreme Lord? No, it is possible. How is it possible? Rishe vidanti munayah prashantatmendriyashayah yada-ātma sattarkaihi tirodhiyeta viplutam. What is the way to experience him? Munayah vidanti, they know, they experience this great truth. How? Prashanta atma indriyashayaha. When they quieten the mind, quieten the senses, the body, mind, intellect, everything, when it is quietened, rishayaha, munayaha vidanti, they experience this. This is the only way to experience. What is the way? Quieten your mind. But what? Yada tadaiva sattarkehi, asattarkehi. When people start to, when they try to know it through logic, through reasoning, through their own ability, Tirodhiyeta viplutam. Mind is agitated and that person can never experience it. The point is, this truth can never be known through logic, through reasoning, through self-effort. It can never be known. Just like sleep can never come through self-effort. Can you say, exactly at 10 o'clock I'll go to sleep? No. You have to lie down and you have to wait. You have to invoke the grace of Nidra Devi. Preparations can be done. What is the preparation? When you are fully tired, bed is well prepared, you can lie down. You can only lie down, that's all. There is a desire to go into sleep. You can only desire, you can only prepare. But can you consciously get into sleep? No. So in the same way here also, prepare the mind and wait at the doorsteps. When the right time comes, the doors of the heavens will be thrown open. If you are prepared. And it will be thrown open only if you have totally surrendered. If you have totally effaced your ego, then alone this door will be open. So therefore, don't try to enter into this, what you call, kingdom of heaven through your logic, through your reasoning, through your, what you call, intellectual power. Nothing will work. Surrender and surrender alone. Sharanagati alone is the way. So when this Rishi, after quietening the mind, when he experiences that truth, how can you briefly experience or describe that ultimate truth? So few terms are given. These terms are found in Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, etc. What are they? Vishuddham, Kevalam, Jnanam, Pratyak, Samyak Avastitam, Satyam, Purnam, Anadyantam, Nirgunam, Nityam, Advayam. This is the experience. Vishuddham, pure. Kevalam, only one. Non-dual. Kevalam means only one. Jnanam, of the nature of knowledge. Absolute knowledge. Pratyak, of the nature of self. So experience is, this is me. Samyak Avastitam, which remains at all periods of time, eternal, immortal. Satyam, the ultimate truth. Purnam, complete, perfect. Anadi-antam, beginningless, endless. Nirgunam, free from any taint of sattva, rajas or tamas. Nityam, eternal. Advayam, non-dual. These are all terms, but these have to be experienced. So after having said this much, now Brahmājī is going to describe the leelas of the Lord. So Brahmājī says, there are so many leelas this Bhagavan has played. Through these leelas, when a person listens, he develops devotion for God, and through this devotion, mind becomes purified, and through this purified mind, he attains the Supreme. So entire leelas, whatever is there in Bhagavatam, in one verse, Bhagavan describes. Briefly we will see later. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.